Hi friends, now I would like to explain what is a limit of a complex function. First, let us go for what is the function. So in this video, I would like to explain what is the complex function and what is the limit of a complex function, and I'll do few examples how do you find the limit of a complex function. First, let us go for what is a complex function. As you know that a function is nothing but for every value of the domain, there exists a unique value in the codomain. Suppose I'll take the two sets like this. For every value of this, there exists a unique value that we can call it as a function. But let us see what is meant by the complex function. The complex function is nothing but for each value of the complex variable z is equal to x plus iy in a given region, whatever the region, like this whatever the region, there are one or more values, then w we can call it as a complex function of z. Mathematically, this we can write it as w equal to x comma y plus I v of x comma y, or you can write it as f of z, where z is nothing but x plus iy. It is a complex number where u and v are real functions in terms of x and y. But example, let us see. Suppose u is equal to xy plus I x square plus y square sine of x plus y I of cos of xy. Graphically, let us see what is this. See, according to outputs, the complex function we can call it as we can classify into two different types. That is, one we can call it as single valued function, another we can call it as multi-valued function. That means for each value of the domain, to each value of z, there corresponds only one value. It's nothing but a unique value, that we can call it as a single valued function. It is just like a real function. If suppose for one input value, if it is giving more than one, that we can call it as a multi-valued function of z. For example, let us say w is equal to z power n. It is a single valued function if n is an integer. If n is not an integer, then the same function we can call it as multi-valued function. See how we can classify. Suppose we can write z in a polar form. That means a complex function z is equal to r e power I theta. E power I is nothing but Euler's formula. It is nothing but cos theta plus I sin theta. See here, now z replaced by the same thing, r e power I theta. And see, usually this theta, if you are taking, means it's a principal value, or it's every value we should consider means theta plus 2n pi we should take it. Okay. Now observe here, z power n, r power n, e power I n theta, e power 2 pi n I. This is, according to this, we will get this form, r power n, e power I n theta, 2 pi I n. If n is an integer, what about this value? Is nothing but cos 2 pi n plus I sin 2 pi n I. Sorry, I will not come. Sin 2 pi n. Is clear? If n is an integer, this is the even number. Cosine of n pi is nothing but 0. Sorry, the cosine of n pi value is nothing but 1, and sine of n pi is nothing but 0. Now from this e power 2 pi n I value is become 1 for n is an integer. If n is not an integer, this value is not equal to 1. So this value is not equal to 1 means for one input value, from this you will get one value, and from this you will get one more value. So more than one value you will get. So that's why those type of functions we can call it as multi-valued functions. Now let us see what is meant by limit of a function. Generally, in real function, limit f of x, as x tends to a we will take, right? But see what is here, f of z. For f of z, a function w is equal to f of z is said to tend to limit L as z approaches to a complex point z0. Is nothing but any complex function is said to have a limit L as z tends to z0 if for every real epsilon greater than 0 there exists a real delta greater than 0 such that this inequality holds good when this inequality holds. But see how graphically you can define this. Let us see graphically how we explain w is equal to f of z. See, for real functions, what about the limit? The limit we can explain like this. Suppose this is the curve, this is the point A. We will take the interval LHS and RHS. So that means how do you approach this A value in this interval, either from LHS or from RHS. But in this case, observe here. So this is one z plane, this is the domain plane, and this is output plane. And I am taking the point z0, as we are taking here z minus z0 less than delta. So that's why it's wherever you are taking the z, its difference must less than delta value. Observe here, suppose I am taking the value z here, and from this z value, how we approach z0, either a straight line or like this, or I'm approaching like this, or I may approach like this. So that means there are infinite number of ways to reach from point z to z0. So, but along these all different paths, the corresponding f of z, this corresponding f of z reaches L exactly. See, suppose z corresponding to f of z, suppose I am taking z here, then corresponding f of z somewhere else, suppose this is the f of z, see like this, this is the f of z, and as z approaches z0 and this point approaches like this, L value. So this is, so here for real functions, only there are two approaches, one is left hand side and another one is right hand side. When we come to the complex function to define a limit or to verify the limit, z approaches to z0, there are infinite number of ways along these different paths. The corresponding function f of z approaches the same value, that is L, that should be the unique. Then we say that f of z will have a limit L as z approaches z0. So that is the difference compared to limit of a real function and limit of a complex function. Mathematically, as we are defining for real functions, limit f of z as z tends to z0 is equal to L. This is the same notation how we are representing a limit of a complex function. Now let us take one problem. How do you find the limit of this? Now here a function mapping from complex to complex, which is defined by like this, f of z. Here I am taking the breaking function. Officially, formally you can call it as a piecewise defined function. When z is equal to minus of 1 plus 2i, this value is 0, not equal to, this will have this expression. Now we are going to find a limit of f of z as z tends to minus of 1 plus 2i the point. Okay. Now let us see the solution. How do you find the limit of this? And clearly observe here, this is the rational function, and let us try to simplify the numerator because it is a quadratic expression. That's why this quadratic expression can be factorized into this form, z minus 4 plus 2i, z plus 1 plus 2i. Here the denominator is similar to one of the factors of the numerator. So these two expressions will get cancelled. Now you will get the numerator in this form. Now this is the simplified f of z at z is equal to minus of 1 plus 2i 0 not equal to minus of 1 plus 2i. You will get this expression. Now there is no objection of substituting whatever the point, near what point you are going to find the limit. So minus of 1 plus 2i, simply substituting this point in this place and simplify, you will get this value. So this is the finite value. So that's why the limit of this function as z tends to minus of 1 plus 2i, we are getting this. This is the one way of finding the limit of a complex function. Let us take the one more example. This is z by modulus z. Z is nothing but x plus iy. Okay, so x plus iy, and we know that modulus z is nothing but square root of x square plus y square. I am taking here, I am approaching a new procedure, that is nothing but here, observe here, limit z tends to 0. Z is nothing but x plus iy. So x tends to 0 and y tends to 0. I am splitting into two different limits, along x tends to 0 and along y tends to 0. It is nothing but c. Suppose this is the z value, actually z tends to 0, this is the z value. Okay, the same approaching, first along x direction I am approaching 0 and along y direction I am approaching 0. So first along x direction means this way, this is, and again along y direction we are approaching to 0. Or if you want to take, first you can take, suppose this point along y direction you can take first, and along x direction you can take. So this is also one way approaching 0 point. I told you there are different ways. See here, limit y tends to 0, limit x tends to 0. Simply limit x tends to 0, replacing x by 0. What we will get? I y by y. Again, so now observe here, cancelling this y. You will get I is a constant, limit of constant is nothing but constant itself. This is the one way. And if we take the another form, this form, this c, limit x tends to 0 and y tends to 0. See here, first y tends to 0, replace y and this y 0. Now x by x we will get, by cancelling this x, the constant is 1. So the same limit we are finding along two different paths. This is 1, this is 2. But along these two different paths we are getting I and 1. So these two are not same. These two different approaches are giving different values. So that's why limit doesn't exist for limit z by modulus z as z tends to 0 exists. The same problem we can do in another way. So this is a standard one. For every problem you can implement this. Suppose let us take y is equal to mx. Okay, now by taking y is equal to mx, limit x plus iy tends to 0 plus I0. Okay, so here x plus y is nothing but mx under the square root x square plus y is nothing but m square x square. Now what is the simplified form? The simplified form you will get 1 plus I m by square root of 1 plus m square. That x will get cancelled, is right? So that means limit depends on m value. M is nothing but, see here, y is equal to mx. Y is equal to mx is nothing but, see here, this z tends to 0 is right. This straight line, if m values are different, then it depends on the different paths. Usually as z tends to 0, whatever the path between these, either straight line or parabola or cubic, or you can take any different curve, so it has to get the same limit. But here it is showing that this limit value depends on m value is nothing but limit is not independent of the path between z to 0, because This is right, z to 0. That's why limit does not exist. This procedure you can call it as a standard procedure to verify whether limit is exist or not. Now let us go to certain properties. Using those properties, you can easily say what are those. See what are those properties. Suppose a complex function f of z is equal to u of z plus iv of z, where u is nothing but u of x comma y, v is nothing but v of x comma y are real valued functions, be defined on a complex set C except at point z0. Then L1 and L2, these two are real values. See here, not only the real, it's simply the region, this R which belongs to set of complex functions. If and only if, see here, a real part of the complex function, imaginary part of the complex function approaches L1 and L2, then limit z tends to z0 f of z is nothing but L1 plus I L2. We can split real part and imaginary part. For that real part, it's nothing but a real valued function. For that real valued function, you can find what is the limit, and for imaginary part, you can find the limit and simply combine L1 plus I L2. So this is the another way of finding the limits of a complex function as z tends to certain point. And suppose let us take the two functions f of z and g of z. These are the two functions defined in a complex function except possible at z0, and limit z tends to z0 f of z is L1, this is L2. Then the combination of these f of z plus or minus g of z is nothing but this, and the product we can take L1 and L2, this numerator and denominator L1 by L2 when L2 is not equal to 0. It's nothing but for different terms you can find the limit separately and just combine it. Even at least one of the function not getting the limit means simply we say that limit doesn't exist. For the product also you can find separately and take the product of those separately. Even for the rational function f of z by g of z, you can find separately and then take those ratios of L1 and L2 separately. So this is how you can find the limit of the function. So this is, friends, how do you find the limit of a complex function. If you like the video, subscribe for more updates. Thank you.